Teams of professionals to fight your claim. If you want to know what your case is really worth, I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA filing number 16-7970.
WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21 12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from downtown Baton Rouge, this is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from our studio downtown in the capital city on this Thursday. It means we're brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Got Jacob back, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos, working towards the weekend and fired up. You're hanging out with us. Got a lot to do here on this Thursday. In 15 minutes, we'll go up to Oxford, Mississippi. Michael Katz covers the Rebels. We'll talk about Ole Miss with him. Did so preseason. We'll check in on Lane Kiffin's squad just a couple days before LSU and Ole Miss get going in Vaught-Hemingway. Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, with us in an hour and 15 minutes at 2:15, and Luke Johnson from Saints practice at 2:30, talking black and gold. So lots and lots to do. I actually went to LSU basketball practice and might, I'm not guaranteeing it, but might shoehorn that in to the end of the hour here. It just depends on if we get to everything else before that. It is, of course, September. They don't play for 6 weeks, but it could happen. I'm leaving the possibility open. So brought to you by Sagrera Farms. Let's crank it up the way we do every single day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
LSU and Ole Miss, big one in Vaught-Hemingway. I wrote this in a column and have kind of thought this all week, that the winner of this game really feels like a likely playoff team. There are shocking losses every week in college football. There are injuries that derail seasons. There's a lot that goes on in October, November, and even early December that can impact who's in a playoff. But the winner of this game is going to be 5-0 moving into October. South Carolina doesn't look awesome, is on both of these schedules in their home stadiums. And you got wiggle room if you win this game. And it's a huge one, undoubtedly. When you, the LSU fan, and I'm assuming most of y'all are listening are LSU fans, that's a reasonable assumption. When you think about Lane Kiffin, I would imagine some things come to mind when you think about the personality of his teams. You think about offense, big picture. That's the correct way to think. You think about a lot of points. You think about prolific numbers, and that's the right way to think. He does all those things. And I would imagine there's some of you that think about big plays in the passing game and those vivid memories of him, even at Alabama, some at Ole Miss, right when the ball snapped, holding his hands up, running down the sideline for huge gains in the passing game. And that would be correct. He does that all the time. And so because of those things that you put together, you always think, well, passing game, unbelievable. What he does with quarterbacks, incredible. Just loves to air it out. That's wrong. He can. They will. Lane Kiffin wants to run the football. That is the backbone of his offense. Doesn't matter if he's at Alabama. Doesn't matter if he's at Florida Atlantic. Doesn't matter if he's at Ole Miss. It doesn't matter. He wants to run the ball. And that is what LSU is going to have to take away first in this game if the defense wants to have a great day. This is an Ole Miss offensive line that's having to replace 4 starters from last year's offensive front. Only Diego Pounds, their left tackle, is back, but they've got a UAB transfer at left guard, a former 4-star recruit in his second year as the center. Right guard, Patrick Kudus, comes from Arkansas, and he started 17 games between Arkansas and Ole Miss. Jaden Williams will play right tackle. He's made 24 starts for Ole Miss over the course of 3 years. He's a veteran there. But that's a veteran group that's a little bit new, but that is going to be responsible for pushing forward and getting that running game going for Ole Miss. And LSU's job is to stop it. Since 2020, here are the schools in the FBS that have run the ball for more yards per game than Ole Miss. Air Force, triple option. Army, triple option. Navy, triple option. Then you got Liberty and UCF. Ole Miss is 6th. Only those 5 have run for more yards per game. No one in the Power 4 has run for more yards per game. Respect to Central Florida, most of what they've done over the last 6 years has been in the American. So this is the most prolific rushing offense in the Power 4 since Lane Kiffin took this job. And this year, they've run the ball 43.5 times per game for 5.03 yards per carry. You're running it 43 times per game for 5 yards a carry. That nets out to over 200 yards a game. LSU, meanwhile, comes into this game allowing half of that 5 yards per carry, 2.6. Clemson, veteran offensive line, big, physical, unproven, wide receiver transplant, but big physical running back. They ran the ball 20 times for 31 yards on LSU. Florida, veteran offensive line, good tailback in Jaden Ball. 27 carries, 79 yards. In those two games, those two teams, 2.3 yards per rush. I promise you this here on Thursday. If Ole Miss runs for 2.3 yards per carry, LSU is going to run Ole Miss off its own field. Blowout. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Ole Miss is better than those two teams. But the point remains, if LSU, without Gabe Relaford, but with Bernard Gooden, Jacobian Guillory, Ahmad Bro, Don McKinley, Patrick Payton, Jack Pyburn, Jamari Butler, Whit Weeks, West Weeks, Devon Keys, Harold Perkins, if that group steps up to the plate and limits what Ole Miss can do on the ground, taking away big plays, which Ole Miss gets huge ones, taking away the opportunity to get chunk plays and then go tempo off of that, and then getting Ole Miss behind the sticks, all of a sudden Trinidad Chambliss's life just got a whole lot more difficult. A whole lot more difficult. But if Ole Miss gets going fast, gets running the ball, gets into 3rd and 2s, creates LSU back on its heels, gets into the game where they can play the play action and get those deep shots that then we were talking about at the top of the segment where Lane Kiffin holds his hands up and you hit those big plays, all of a sudden, now the Rebels are cooking with gas. This is, to me, the biggest matchup in this game. We're going to talk about LSU's ability or lack thereof to run the ball on the other side, Ole Miss's ability to stop the run or lack thereof on the other side. We'll talk about a 5th-year senior quarterback against a D2 quarterback. We'll talk about home, road. We'll talk about Lane Kiffin, Blake Baker. All these things are relevant to this conversation. And there are a lot of ways that these teams are going to approach this game. But the nuts and bolts of this game, to me, come down to this matchup. If Ole Miss can run the ball like it wants to, like it has for 6 years, the Rebels are going to be in good shape. If LSU bottles up Ole Miss any way similarly that they did to Florida and Clemson, good night. And I think that's the biggest deal. Now, I haven't even mentioned Kejuan Lacey. Lacey's got 7 rushing touchdowns for Ole Miss this year. He's transferred in from Missouri. He's done a really nice job. He's not the biggest back in the SEC. He's got good speed. He's not like you don't double take when he's coming down the field, but he's done a really nice job. And I think that what he's been able to do isn't necessarily pigeonholed into one style of run. Like Jaden Ball for Florida kind of wants to get north-south between those tackles and use that size and strength to move forward. That wasn't available to him. And then Adam Warren from Clemson is 230 pounds as well. And he's a wide receiver. He played his whole career on the perimeter. To say he can't get there and do any damage is disingenuous, but mainly wants to do between the tackles. But you look at Lacey, they do some misdirection. They do some straight read option. It's a different mode because Chambliss is really, really athletic, and DJ Lagway's not really a running threat. Klubnik is, but I would suggest that Chambliss is a little twitchier, a little quicker than Cade Klubnik. But this is a little bit of a different style of running game than LSU saw from Clemson and Florida. but its importance is very much the same. And once Clemson couldn't run, they packed it in the second half. They only ran for 4 yards. They quit trying to run the ball. They didn't score a point. Florida couldn't run the ball, kind of got behind the chains, and you saw third down interceptions come from DJ Lagway. He threw 3 third-down interceptions, maybe 4 third-down interceptions in that game. So this, to me, I can't overstate the importance of Ole Miss's running game. If you, the LSU fan, think of Lane Kiffin as spreading it out, letting it fly, that's not it. And he certainly, in my opinion, doesn't want to do that against this LSU secondary with a quarterback making his first start against a really good defense. You want Trinidad Chambliss comfortable, running the ball, handing off, third and shorts, handing the ball off in the red zone, not seeing the field condensed, all these things that make life easier for a quarterback, and nobody consistently makes life easier for a quarterback than Lane Kiffin, and that's because his teams run the ball so well. This is, to me, a huge, huge, huge challenge for LSU's defense, and one that will teach us more. I feel really good about what LSU did at Clemson, but they've been terrible since. I feel really good about what LSU did against Florida defensively, but they've been a disaster. And I can't take anything I see against Ole Miss or Southeastern and do anything with it. What I feel comfortable telling you is that LSU is better than Kentucky and Arkansas on defense. They're better than Tulane on defense. And if Ole Miss all of a sudden hands the ball off 32 times for 93 yards, that's just not going to be enough for Ole Miss to win this game. That number for Ole Miss needs to creep above 150 up towards 160. And they do that with the consistency with which they run it, and then once they get it going, the tempo with which they run it, and they want to wear you down. LSU's got great, great, great depth. I went through all the names up front. It's amazing. They've got 7 guys on the defensive line that are veteran that they really trust, and they've got really 4 linebackers that they really trust. And they can rotate in and out to keep guys fresh, but when can you not do that? When Ole Miss starts running tempo. You cannot substitute your defensive line if you give up an 8-yard run and Ole Miss gets on the ball and doesn't sub and wants to go again. If you give up a 21-yard run and Ole Miss wants to substitute again, wants to go fast and doesn't substitute, you can't substitute. When you can substitute is when you stop them for a loss of 2, because they're not going to get right back up on the ball and go again. It's imperative that LSU get stops to limit all the options that Lane Kiffin likes to work with. Number 1 key in this football game, I can't put it any other way, Ole Miss's running offense against LSU's running defense. The winner of that battle has a huge leg up in this game on Saturday afternoon. All right, that's our Genesis opening drive. Our Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. I've given you my thoughts on the biggest matchup in this game. We'll go up to Oxford and talk to Michael Katz what he thinks about this matchup when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Storm season is here. It's been quiet. I like that. You like that. Everybody likes that. But we know that that's not always the case. Make sure your property policy is in good shape for storm season. Have the folks at the Highland Insurance Group check it out. You're probably fairly aware of the nuts and bolts of how a property policy is supposed to work. But do you know anything about cyber insurance? What about employment practice liability? Do you know that all of your employees are rightly categorized on your workers' comp insurance sheet? All of these things are imperative, especially when you've got a potential loss. Make sure that once you pay that premium, you're going to have coverage when you need it. That's what the Highland Insurance Group does best. If you want 20% off, don't call them to wave a magic wand. That's not what they're going to do. But they can be sure your coverage is properly written, and that's what they want to do for you. That's how they keep clients. They've got great people, they have great relationships with their clients, and they make sure that they are covered. If you're a business owner, CFO, risk manager, and you want to make sure your policy reads properly, let the Highland Insurance Group audit it for free. That doesn't cost you anything. It's Jonathan Carbo and his team at the Highland Insurance Group. Find them online at HighlandIG.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, Our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioneer Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I'm Gabrielle McLeod on behalf of the Louisiana Propane Dealers. I have spent hundreds of hours preparing for scholarship competitions. That preparation paid off when I won the Fitness and Talent Awards along with the title of Miss Louisiana. The Louisiana Propane Dealers are also pretty talented and want you to be prepared for when the power goes out. Visit louisianapropane.com to find out about propane generators and other safety tips. Louisiana Propane, it truly is the fuel for our future.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie with $22,500 off MSRP with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR from Don Juan Cigar Bar, presented by Got Lit Light Installers, because everything looks better when it's lit. We'll see you Friday, 3 to 6 from Don Juan Cigar Bar, presented by Got Lit Light Installers.
At Luba Workers Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
The Grove will be buzzing on Saturday morning into Saturday afternoon. LSU and Ole Miss, 2:30 kickoff from Vaught-Hemingway Stadium. Michael Katz will be there. He covers the Rebs for the Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal. Good enough to give us a little bit of time here on this Thursday. Michael, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing quite well. What do you feel about this Ole Miss team after a month of football? The same you did in mid-August, or any different?
You know, I think I came in probably expecting the defense to be a little bit further along than it is, and it has looked better the last 6 quarters or so. That second half against Arkansas, and then what they did to Tulane. It's a young group. I just think that we all had, given how good the defense was last year, kind of maybe unrealistic expectations. But I think the biggest thing that I've learned about this team is they're kind of gutsy. Last year, it's well documented, they lost 3 games by 13 points, including to LSU. That game against Kentucky at home was really kind of ended up being the nail in the coffin when it came to the CFP race. And then obviously they lost to Florida. They couldn't win close games last year, and I think a lot of that was because they couldn't run the ball when they needed to. It happened against LSU. It happened against Florida. They just couldn't get big conversions when they needed to. This year, they played a tight one at Kentucky, and Kentucky was a really big one for them just to kind of get over that hump, especially with what happened last year. They were able to run the ball late. They were able to close the game out against Arkansas by forcing a late fumble. This is a team that I think is not probably quite as star-powered as last year's, but they have won close games, and I didn't see that from the team last year. So I think that's my biggest takeaway is that, at least as of now, they've learned how to close out games better than they were able to last year.
Let's not bury the lead any further here. Quarterback's obviously a huge storyline with Austin Simmons dealing with the ankle injury. There were reports yesterday that Trinidad Chambliss is going to be the guy. How do you feel about it at this point in the week, and what has Chambliss given him?
Yeah, I mean, it's like trying to get the nuclear codes, trying to get injury information from Lane Kiffin, and there's obviously a lot of games and shit that goes on. Austin has been available the last 2 weeks, and he did play against Arkansas. He came in and threw a touchdown when Trinidad injured his hand for a moment. But I just think that with the way this offense wants to operate, or at least has in the last couple of weeks, with wanting design quarterback runs, Trinidad's going to give you the best option in that regard with Austin's ankle injury. And Trinidad's just been one of the stories of college football the last few weeks. He's a Division II national champion from Florida State that I think everybody just assumed was the guy you bring in to be the backup, and here he is. He's got 400 yards of offense, I believe, each of the last, his 2 starts, and he became just the fourth Ole Miss quarterback to ever throw for 300 and run for 100 in the same game. So, and I think the biggest thing, though, is that he hasn't turned the ball over. Austin Simmons had thrown 4 receptions over his 2 starts. Trinidad has not put the ball in harm's way, and I think, especially in a game like this, where you can't afford to give away possessions, I think that's going to be really important. So, obviously, Austin's a really, really talented player. He was undisputed QB1 heading into the season, but Trinidad's given them a lot of good stuff, and I think with what the offense wants to do, he just might be the best solution right now.
As far as the run game goes, I just spent 15 minutes talking about it, but what has Lacey given them out of the backfield?
He's been great, and that was I think people think of Lane Kiffin's offense as being very quarterback heavy and friendly, and he's obviously done great work with quarterbacks, and Jackson Dart was a first-round pick for a reason, but Lane Kiffin's best teams have always run the ball really well, and last year was the worst rushing Ole Miss team that he's had, and they really tried to get back to their roots and brought in a bunch of running backs, Kiwan Lacey being the featured one. He's been dynamic. His numbers have been down a little bit the last couple of weeks, but Trinidad Chambliss's numbers have sort of evened that out with his scrambling and then the design runs with him. I think Lacey leads the SEC with like 7 rushing touchdowns. We knew he was an explosive player coming in, but he's had better contact balance and been a little bit tougher at the goal line than at least I expected. So, unlike last year where it was sort of a revolving door at running back for a lot of the season, like we all know, like the bell cow is Kiwan Lacey, and he wants to be the guy that is able to grind out games for them.
Michael Katz is our guest, covers Ole Miss for the Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal, Tigers and Rebs, 2:30 on Saturday. Let's move to the Ole Miss defense, which had such star power last year. I'm not aware of that kind of star power on this unit, but statistically, they've been really bad against the run and really good against the pass. Let's start with the good. Lowest completion percentage allowed in the SEC. Do you feel like this is a strong secondary?
It's funny because that was one of the biggest question marks coming in was the secondary, because it was pretty much all new guys. They lost some really good players from that secondary last year. Trey Amos was a high second-round pick, and he's playing really well for the Commanders right now. They lost a lot of really good guys from that secondary last year, and we all thought that was probably going to be the weak link coming in. And so far it's held up pretty well. If we're being honest, they haven't played. Taylor Green, he had his way to an extent a little bit, but he's proven to be one of the better quarterbacks in the country so far. And he's the best quarterback they've played, and he had some success. But I think part of that too was because of his ability to, you got to account for his running as well. But for the most part, I think they've held up pretty well in the secondary. I think the thing that's probably most surprising is that the secondary's held up as well as it has with a lack of a pass rush. I mean, this was a team that led the nation in sacks per game with 4 and has 4 totals so far. So I think everything, given all those things, I think the secondary has done a pretty good job so far.
Can't really say the same for the front 7 as far as rushing yards allowed, and then you mentioned the pass rush. What's the problem up front for Ole Miss?
It's been really surprising. Kamarion Franklin, their end, has like 12 quarterback hurries this year, which is among the best in the SEC, and I don't know if he has a full sack yet. Their leading sack guy is Xavier Harris. He's a defensive tackle with 2. Centurion Perkins had 10.5 last year. He does not have any yet. So they've been really close, but they just haven't been able to finish off those sorts of plays. As for the run game, earlier in the year when we asked Lane Kiffin about it, he said part of that is, when you're scheming for teams, you're willing to concede some things when you take away other things, and that's the numbers aren't going to look great when the scheme is asking you to do certain things. But it feels like we're at a point, a third of the way through the regular season where it does seem to be a problem. It settled down a little bit in the second half against Arkansas. Last week against Tulane, I think they ended up with about 180 yards, but that was kind of garbage time stuff with the game being so out of hand. So I do think it's getting better, but I just think that they've missed a lot of tackles early on in the season. This kind of have had guys out of position. It's such in stark contrast to what we saw last year when, again, I know there were so many stars, but they gave up like 80 yards a game, and right now I think they're at about 190, somewhere around there in terms of rush defense. So it's been really kind of jarring looking at these last 2 defenses, but the talent's there. It's just a matter of at what point does it really all start to click, and I think they feel like maybe last week was when it really started to click.
Obviously a huge field goal at the time in overtime last year for Ole Miss from north of 55 yards to get points on the board, unless you scored one play later to win it. But if this game came down to a kick, how would Ole Miss feel about that?
They love Lucas Carnero. They had a good one last year too in Caden Davis. He made I think it was like 57 yarder. Yeah. He hit the heck out of that thing. But he did miss a kick against Kentucky, and I think fans remember that one as well. But he was really good, and so when they went in the portal and brought in Carnero from Western Kentucky, who was a Lou Groza semifinalist, and he actually just missed his first kick of 50 yards or more in his career this year. But he's hit a 54-yarder already. They feel really, really good about him, and I think that's part of what makes this matchup interesting. Is we think of Lane Kiffin as this, the 4th down gambler, but they've only gone for it twice this year on 4th down, and I think part of that is because they feel pretty good about their specialists, and there's some games where you're just going to have to take the points, and that's because that's what's best for you. So it's been really interesting to see how they handle that. But if it comes down to the kicking game, I think they feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, Lane's been as aggressive as any coach in the country, quite literally, on 4th downs, and that just hasn't been the case. Do you think it's just a kicking deal, or do you think there's a philosophical change because he's gotten burned a little bit by going for 4th downs?
Yeah, I mean, it's live by the sword, die by the sword to an extent. It's worked a lot for him. I think last year I think they'd gone for it 7 times through 4 games. And I think you would probably expect that because your defense was so good, right? Like if you had to put them on the field, you felt okay with it. I think with this year, you feel really good about your specialists and putting points on the board. But 2, the defense hasn't been quite as strong. So maybe you don't want to put them in bad field position situations. The game I go back to where it kind of seemed like a turning point was against Georgia last year, when they didn't go for it on 4th a bunch and they kicked field goals, and obviously they ended up winning that game. And I feel like that was sort of a big moment. And obviously, he's going to have games where he goes for it on 4th a ton. But I think in like big games where you're going to need every point, it feels like he kind of learned that lesson. So I think there's a lot of those factors kind of go into it.
Michael, we appreciate the time. Enjoy the football on Saturday.
Absolutely. Appreciate you.
He is Michael Katz, Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal, covering the Rebs. Great stuff from him there. I'm going to be very, very candid with you, the listener here. I make a pick on this game in 25 hours and 22 minutes. I don't have one yet. And that is probably different from almost everybody in this building that I'm assuming is going to take LSU in this game, because LSU, it looks like a really good football team this year. I'm candidly concerned about LSU's ability to run the ball, and that would be taking advantage of Ole Miss's weakness, and I don't know if they can. But I also can see this thing getting really sideways for Trinidad Chambliss against the best defense he's ever seen. I'm torn. I'm not sold on a pick of LSU, and I'm certainly not sold on a pick of Ole Miss. I've really studied this game a lot. I've listened to a lot of podcasts. I've had now guests from Ole Miss come on. I've obviously dug into a lot of stats that I've ripped off here over the last couple of days. It's I feel like the line is right. It's swung back and forth to 1.5 either way. I think this is going to be a very, very close game. And I don't have a pick. It's interesting to hear from the other side of things. So appreciate Michael for giving us a little bit of time. I want to remind you that our Thursday shows are brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. If you listen to me talk about Sagrera Farms, you've listened to me talk about the way that beef is scored. It's the intramuscular fat score. If you're talking about select meat, it's about 30% of what's out there, 0 to 3 on that IMF score. If you're talking about choice meat, you're talking 3 to 8. That's 60% of what's out there. Average stuff. Prime is the best of the best. That's what the finest steakhouses have. That's above 9 on the scale. Sean sent me some pictures that they're cutting today on the farm. 12, 14, 15.9, 18.1. That's double the requirement for prime that they are cutting right now today on the farm. The demand has been off the charts for them. So if you're thinking about being on the fence, whether or not I should get in at Sagrera Farms, like, the stuff is unbelievable right now, and you're going to want to call them because this stuff's not going to last. They'll have more, but the stuff they're cutting right now, not going to last for a long time. Here's Sean's cell phone number if you want some of the best beef around. Top 1% in the country, just outside Baton Rouge in Ethel. Give Sean a call. Course 225-719-1723. 719-1723. He's passionate about this stuff. The product is consistently excellent. It's prime every single time, and it makes a big difference. So get on the phone, give Sean a call. Sagrera Farms brings you our Thursday shows. When we come back, I've got a lot of segments that are here to kind of entertain, have some fun. Like, I don't know how much fun the next segment is. I think that you're going to learn something in this next segment. I'll leave it at that. We'll come back and do it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com by the 21st. We'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award, and the spotlight they've earned. Presented by First American Bank and Trust, a banking tradition since 1910.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
We typically
think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
In South Louisiana, you can always count on good people coming together to help our children.
At Dreams Come True, we grant wishes for Louisiana children with life-threatening illnesses. But to do this, we need funds.
That's why we're trying to raise $100,000 for Dreams Come True by giving away the Blessed Children's School.
Make your backyard's dream come true while helping our kids.
Just go to dreampoolla.com and you can find out how your $25 donation might help win you a Duplessis pool.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie with $22,500 off MSRP with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
So this happened last night. Paul Skenes, 6 innings shutout baseball for the Pirates against the Reds. Pirates actually won the game, shockingly. But Skenes is done. He pitched here on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They won't be rushing him back on 3 days rest when they're 55,000 games out of the playoffs. So Paul Skenes' second season in Major League Baseball is done. He will be the Cy Young Award winner. That was essentially determined when Zach Wheeler went out with a shoulder issue with about a month to go. But Skenes will have absolutely earned it. He finishes the season with an ERA of 1.97, which is the best in all of baseball. Now, how significant is his lead on the rest of baseball? That's what I wanted to look into. Paul Skenes' ERA of 1.97 is 1.46 better than third place in all of baseball. Hunter Brown is third. He's with the Astros. His ERA is third in all of baseball among starters, 2.43. So the difference between Skenes at 1 and Hunter Brown at 3 is the same distance between Hunter Brown at 3 and 27th in Major League Baseball. It's a run and a half. It's massive. It's Skenes, Tarek Skubal, who's going to win the Cy Young in the American League, who's awesome. But he's not just winning the ERA title. He's destroying it. He is more than a run and a half better than Christopher Sanchez of the Phillies, who's second place in the National League. It's historic stuff he's doing. He's the first pitcher with back-to-back, in the history of baseball, ever, with back-to-back seasons of a sub-2 ERA with 10 strikeouts per 9 innings pitched and 100 innings pitched. It's a lot of stuff to be thinking about when you're driving around, but first pitcher ever, ERA under 2, more than 10 strikeouts per 9 innings, and he threw 100 innings, meaning he's not a closer. First ever with back-to-back seasons like that. To go further, there are only 2 pitchers in the history of baseball that have done this in multiple seasons. He did it back-to-back in his first 2 years. The only 2 pitchers to have done that multiple times in their career are Pedro Martinez, I think the best right-handed pitcher in my lifetime. I'll hear Greg Maddux. I will hear Roger Clemens, certainly, but I would go Pedro. Best right-handed pitcher of my life, did it multiple times. Clayton Kershaw, second best left-handed pitcher of my life, behind Randy Johnson, did it multiple times. That's it. End of discussion. And Skenes has done it the only 2 times he had a chance to do it. Those guys carved out 18-year careers. What Paul Skenes is doing in Pittsburgh is absolutely historic every time he takes the baseball. And oh, by the way, would you like to venture a guess at the history he's made, what his won-loss record is this year? It is 10-10. That's going to be the worst record by a Cy Young winner ever. He will not finish the year above 500 with an ERA a run and a half better than everyone else in the National League. It's incredible stuff you're witnessing from Paul Skenes. And I'll say this, let's just make this a referendum on Hunt shortly. Not to make everything about me, but you can make fun of me. It's my show. I watched Paul Skenes pitch in the fall of 2022 at LSU. Now, keep in mind, I did this after looking at his statistics at Air Force, which were good, not great, and having gone back and watched his start against Texas in the regional. Air Force was the 4 seed in Austin. He got the start against Texas. Think of how bad a draw that is for Texas, knowing what we know now. The next year, he became the best pitcher anyone's ever seen in college baseball. The next year, he literally started the All-Star game for the National League and won the Rookie of the Year. And the next year, he's won the Cy Young by a landslide. So this was only 3 years ago when Texas faced him in a regional. And they knocked him all over the place. So that's what I had to go by with Paul Skenes. I was like, well, his numbers were, he's 6'6", and the fastball is fast. That's good velocity. But he wasn't that great at Air Force last year, and this is the SEC. And then I went out there the first time I saw him pitch, and Josh Pearson pumped one into the right field bleachers. And I'm going, okay, I think he's a starter, but I'm not convinced he's an ace. I'm not convinced that he's going to be a dominant number one. I've seen dominant number ones at LSU. I watched Alex Lang's career. I saw Aaron Nola. I've seen dominant ones. I'm not certain he is one. I'm an idiot. Turns out he was number one. And what he's doing is just sensational at the major league level. And I've said this 5 or 6 times. If you listen every day, I so appreciate that. If you listen and retain that information, I appreciate it even more. But this will be redundant to you. But I just find it to be a relevant talking point when things like this happen. I always wonder, what if you took one of those great NBA players and dumped him into college basketball? What if you took one of those great NFL players and dumped him into college football? What if you took one of the great players in Major League Baseball and dumped him into college baseball? You just watched it 2 years ago in Baton Rouge, because he was already one of the best pitchers on the planet when he was in Baton Rouge. He's better today than he was then. He's got more pitches. The splinter has been transformative for him. He, no doubt, has, stronger and probably throws a little bit harder. He's a better pitcher than he was, but it's not astronomical. And the results are what they were. The best pitcher we've ever seen in Baton Rouge. And it's such a shame that he's wasting away in Pittsburgh right now, but he's got to do everything he can to keep his body in tip-top shape, to continue to stay healthy, and he'll sign a just unbelievable deal when he gets through this in a couple of years. That was always going to be the case the second the commissioner read his name out with that Pirates P on the screen behind him, because this team will not spend money. Their lineup is a joke. It's atrocious. Their bullpen is awful, and they will not add. Ask Garrett Cole what happens when you're an ace in Pittsburgh. You got to leave and go to Houston and then sign the mega bajillion deal with the Yankees. Andrew McCutchen ended up getting shipped out of town. They don't pay stars. They will not pay Paul Skenes. But he's got to make sure he stays healthy to get to that. It's a bummer. I was bummed out when he went to the Cubs division, but then they switched away from the unbalanced schedule, so it actually didn't even matter because the Cubs don't play the Pirates significantly more than they play the Braves or the Dodgers. But it doesn't take the fact that organization is a joke doesn't take away from the history he's making every time he takes a ball. It's truly unbelievable. 2 consecutive seasons of Major League Baseball with an ERA under 2. He's put himself in conversations with Pedro Martinez and Clayton Kershaw already. Unbelievable. He was on the mound in Omaha 2 summers ago. Paul Skenes, going to be your NL Cy Young Award winner, finishes up his season with a batting average against of 199, 216 strikeouts against 6 home runs, an ERA of 1.97, and 187 2/3 innings of work for the big right-hander. Congrats on another awesome season, and he can go play golf now because Pirates won't be in the playoffs again. All right, let's come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
That would be the hour we're closing out, not the show. One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Safety is a big, big deal, especially in a room like the bathroom. You're talking about a hazardous place, especially as folks age. And so if you've got someone in your life that's aging that you want to make sure that's mitigated against a little bit, non-slip floors, walk-in tubs, showers with benches, guardrails, and slippery places. All those things are things that David Duvall and his team do all the time. So if that sends off some bells in your head thinking, that might be something I want to look into, have a conversation with David. That's all it starts with. That's free. Say, hey, this is what I'd like to do. Kind of what does that look like? Time frame, cost, all those things. And David's happy to sit down and talk to you. You decide you want to go through with it. David will do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. It's One Bath and Closets. Find all their great work as well as that free consultation online at onebathandclosets.com. Onebathandclosets.com.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
While Louisiana politics can seem like they're from another planet, Moon Griffon isn't afraid to bring politicians back down to earth. Listen to the Moon Griffon Show weekday mornings at 9 on Talk 107.3.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR from Don Juan Cigar Bar, presented by Got Lit Light Installers, because everything looks better when it's lit. We'll see you Friday, 3 to 6 from Don Juan Cigar Bar, presented by Got Lit Light Installers.
In South Louisiana, you can always count on good people coming together to help our children.
At Dreams Come True, we grant wishes for Louisiana children with life-threatening illnesses. But to do this, we need funds.
That's why we're trying to raise $100,000 for Dreams Come True by giving away the Blessed Builders School.
Make your backyard's dream come true while helping our kids.
Just go to Dream.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. If you're looking to catch us on game day, you certainly can. Eagle 98.1 game day. Firing up at 9:30 a.m. from the Rouses on Burbank. Charles Handegriff and Matt Musso Saturday morning. They'll go for 3 hours, 9:30 to 12:30. That's when they hand it off to the LSU Sports Radio Network. That is myself, Brandon Taylor, and Marlon Favorite. We'll be with you from 12:30 till about 2 o'clock, maybe a few minutes after that. Hand it to the broadcast team in Oxford where you can hear the call of the game. 30 minutes after it goes final, myself, Brandon, and Marlon with you on the Fighting Tiger post-game report on the LSU Sports Radio Network for an hour, and 90 minutes after LSU and Ole Miss go final, it'll be Charles Handegriff and Richard Dixon from here in studio, taking your phone calls, reaction to the Tigers and the Rebs. That'll be for about 2 hours after that. So starting at 9:30 in the morning till probably close to 10 o'clock at night, we are live and local here on the Guarantee family of networks. You can catch that on Eagle 98.1 simulcast right here on 104.5, 104.9 ESPN Baton Rouge. I checked out LSU basketball practice yesterday. I promise I'm not going deep into the weeds on basketball here in September. Just a couple of notes to the casual fan who really don't care to dive into the roster at this point, which we won't. Jalen Reed, who tore his ACL in the win over Florida State last year on December the 5th, was out at practice, had a big brace on his knee, and certainly wasn't moving full speed, but was able to participate in all the 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 4-on-4. The only time Jalen Reed sat yesterday was during the 5-on-5 period. So that's the last hurdle for him to clear. Then he'll take that brace off. And I didn't get a timeline from Matt McMahon, and I don't think anybody has an exact one, but I feel like with 6 weeks to go, there's a pretty good chance Jalen Reed could be ready for the season opener as the basketball team cranks things up in early November. So good to see him. That's a guy that LSU just could not replace last year. They did not have any physical size beyond him. They had Damian Collins, who's 6'10", 205 pounds. They had Corey Chest, who's like 6'6", and Derek Fountain, who's 6'10", but just about 220. They've got actual size now with Reed coming back, Michael Nwoku coming over from Mississippi State, who's 260 pounds. So got a little bit of size there. That's a good deal. The other thing is I noticed the coaching staff. You, the casual LSU basketball fan, will notice the coaching staff. You had Tasman Mitchell out there, who's an assistant. You had Keith Hornsby, who's joined the LSU staff. He just finished his professional career, so he's out there. You've got Ronald Dupree, who's their general manager, who was out at practice, standing there off to the side. You've got Marcus Thornton, who's the SEC Player of the Year, who's out there as well. And you got Jalen Courtney, who was on those Johnny Jones teams as well, who's an assistant there. So those guys scored a lot of points in the PMAC and are pretty recognizable out there at practice. I laughed because Matt McMahon was running practice, and they were about to get into a drill, and he said, I need a coach right here, and he pointed to the wing that can play worth a darn. And so Hornsby runs over there because Hornsby's one of the best players out there. He literally finished his professional basketball playing career within the last year. He's still in great shape, can move, and certainly can shoot the ball. And so, yeah, he can play it worth a darn if you need somebody to do a drill. But you think about a coaching five that's got Keith Hornsby, Marcus Thornton, Tasman Mitchell, Jalen Courtney, and then Ronald Dupree. Like, that'll work. That's
pretty good.
That'll work. That's some solid talent that's been assembled there on the coaching staff. Last little note there. I didn't watch. I watched an hour and 10 minutes of practice. De'Don Thomas, who I believe we will call DJ Thomas, De'Don Thomas Jr., so DJ Thomas, I believe is what we'll refer to him as moving forward. He's the point guard. He's going to have to be the answer that they have not figured out in the Matt McMahon era. They just have bad point guard play. They just have. He's got to be one of the better point guards in the league, and the hope is that he is. We'll see, but he's 6'1", 180 pounds or so, really shot it great yesterday. It was good to see. It's uncontested shooting drills, so I'm not going to get too excited about it. A lot of college guys can stand out there and knock down shots when there's nobody guarding them. But he's kind of the key dude to this LSU offense and really their team this year running the point. So I got a chance to see him. If you'd like to read more detail about the basketball team, you're a little bit curious about that, I've got a story up at louisianasports.net. Happy to have you get into that. That'll end our basketball discussion for the week after 4 minutes here. But just wanted to touch base on that briefly here as we've got a quick segment for the end of the hour. While we do have a little bit of time, though, I just gave you the Saturday schedule. Tomorrow, Football Friday, starts up at 7 o'clock. It'll be Jake and Matt on Off the Bench from Rouse's from 7 to 10. Early edition of Live at Lunch, 10 to 1 from Rufino's. Invite you to go on by and see those guys for lunch on a Friday. I'll be here tomorrow, 1 to 3, and then Matt will be here from 3 to 6 on AFR. And then you'll have Cade Wassan Louisiana Prep preview at 6 o'clock until 6:45, leading up to Catholic High football, and we'll have the call of that game until about 9. So you're talking about 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., 14 hours or so, live and local every football Friday here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. So lock us in for as much of that as you can tomorrow as we get you ready for LSU and Ole Miss. Speaking of Tigers and Rebs, I talked a lot about it in the first hour. My first segment, the biggest key to this game, laid it out as clearly as I can. It's Ole Miss's running game against LSU's defense. That's the biggest deal in this game. Gave you some statistics on why that may be and kind of what to expect on Saturday. If you want to catch that, you can wherever you find your sound. Hunt on LSU on YouTube as well. Also talked to Michael Katz, who covers Ole Miss for the Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal. Got his perspective on those Rebels at 1:15. We got a lot to do in the second hour. Talk to Chris Blair 20 minutes from now. Talk to Luke Johnson 35 minutes from right now on the Saints. So come back with us after national headlines with SportsCenter. We got another hour on this Thursday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. They are so intent on making things convenient for you at Genesis of Baton Rouge. That's why you don't even have to set foot on the lot if you don't want to for 3 years. You start that car buying process online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. If you see something you like and they got all the information you're looking for on the website, they'll come to you for the test drive. You want to see that GV80? Have them drive it to you, whether that's at work, your lunch break, or at home. They'll let you drive it. If you decide that's what you want, they'll deliver your car to you. They got online contracts, and you're on your way. And then, oh, by the way, you're going to need an oil change at some point. You're going to need your air filter changed. The standard maintenance that you always need for your vehicle. For 3 years, it's complimentary and valet. They'll come get your car, handle it, bring it right back to you. It's all about convenience with a luxury brand of vehicles at a reasonable price. That's Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find them at Airline and Pico or GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient, and you will have your pool in no time.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Nick DeLuca. Final week of the Major League Baseball regular season. Few games in progress, one with playoff implications. The Reds and Pirates in Cincinnati. Reds entering play today, one game out of the final wild card spot in the NL. Mets currently in playoff position. They lost last night, so did the D-backs, because nobody really wants to make the playoffs. Reds trying to wake up the bats, shut down by Paul Skenes yesterday. Trouble scoring again this afternoon. Nothing in the bottom of the fourth. Braxton Ashcraft has been sharp for Pittsburgh, 3 2/3, 4 hits, 4 Ks. Nick Lodolo, 4 scoreless innings, 7 strikeouts so far this afternoon. Elsewhere in the NFL, Jets QB Justin Fields returning to practice today, was limited, still in the concussion protocol, missed last week's loss to the Buccaneers. Head coach Aaron Glenn saying Fields will start if he's cleared against the Dolphins on Monday night. Tyrod Taylor threw for 197 yards and 2 touchdowns in the start against Tampa. In the NHL, Panthers captain Sasha Barkov helped off the ice after suffering a leg injury in the team's first training camp practice of the year.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ Chris Candy coming on Friday with 6 teams sitting at 0-3. I'll tell you which one needs a win the most, and hint, it's not my Giants. It's Unsportsmanlike weekday mornings at 6 right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from downtown Baton Rouge, this is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Hour 2, Thursday edition Hunt Palmer Show, working towards the weekend. We're brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Some of the finest beef in America, just outside of Baton Rouge there at Sagrera Farms. Looking for a bunch of beef for that freezer, ground meat, ribeyes, fillets, strips, chuck, flank, skirt. I think that's all I got. It's about the extent of my cut knowledge. But you got it all, because you can get a whole cow or a half cow or a quarter cow from my friend Sean Segura at Sagrera Farms, and it is going to be prime every single time. You're talking about a 3-year journey for every cow on that farm with specific genetic makeup, raised on grass, finished on grain, dry aged, 27, 30, 40, 45 days. Phenomenal stuff over at Sagrera Farms. Highly suggest you give Sean a call and check them out. They bring you our Thursday shows each and every week. All right, we're in the middle of breaking down this LSU Ole Miss game every way you possibly can because of how significant this game is. I look at the schedules, and as I said in the first hour, you win this game, whether you're Ole Miss or LSU, and you start to look ahead. And yes, LSU's got to go to Tuscaloosa, and that looks very difficult. Yes, Ole Miss has got to go to Athens, and that looks very difficult. But like South Carolina coming to Ole Miss, coming to Baton Rouge doesn't quite look like what it may have in August. And, Oklahoma may be compromised when Ole Miss plays them with Mateer's injury. And I still feel like one of LSU's road trips being to Vanderbilt, give Vanderbilt all the credit they deserve in your eyes, but it's a game LSU should win, in my opinion. And to lay out all those things in the schedule, you realize that the winner of this game probably has 2 losses to play with moving forward. It's a big deal, and it's a huge game. And we talked in the first hour about Ole Miss's want and ability to run the ball and LSU's excellent job stopping the run to this point, and those two have got to figure each other out. And I think 2 other strengths of these teams are LSU's passing game and Ole Miss's defensive backfield. And I don't know if we would have thought Ole Miss's defensive backfield would be what it has been statistically after losing Trey Amos to the NFL. And You feel like you kind of lost a lot of star power in the back end, but then you look up and you're like, oh, well, Ole Miss has done a good job against bad competition against the pass. Ole Miss, to this point, is third in the country in completion percentage allowed. Third in the country. Like, that's stout. They're allowing just under 50% through the air completion. Now, I would suggest Kentucky's not a great passing team. I would suggest Tulane is from the American and not quite as skilled as LSU. And Arkansas does things a little bit differently with Taylon Green. He's a threat to run. He moves the pocket a little bit. Like, Taylon Green and Garrett Nussmeier really don't share any common traits. But Taylon Green did throw for 305 yards. This Ole Miss secondary, Antonio Kite was a 4-star recruit, went to Auburn, went to Alabama, now is at Ole Miss. Chris Graves Jr. went to Miami. He was a 4-star recruit as well, both 6 feet tall and rangy. And then you got the safeties in Kapina Gashikin and Wyatt Williams, who have 6 pass breakups between them. And it looks pretty good on paper. And I can hear the LSU fans stirring up into a frenzy like, wait a second. You're talking about Garrett Nussmeier, 4,000-yard passer. You're talking about Barryon Brown. You're talking about Aaron Anderson, who's caught 1,000 yards worth of balls at LSU. You're talking about Nick Anderson. You're talking about Kyle Parker. Trades Green is back. Like, this is the best passing attack that Ole Miss has seen by a mile. And I would say, supposed to be. Supposed to be. But has it been? I mean, look at some of the statistics for LSU catching the football this year. Aaron Anderson's averaging 5 catches a game. His long is 39. He doesn't have a touchdown yet. Like, they played Southeastern and Tech in 2 of these games. That's not eye-popping. Barryon Brown, 5 catches a game, good for 200 yards. That means, he's catching about 50 yards worth a game. He's got 1 score. Has he hit the deep ball yet? No, 19's his longest catch. Xavion Thomas has a pair of touchdowns. That's good. But you haven't really gotten Nick Anderson involved. He's got 6 catches in 4 games. He's got a couple of drops from last week. Trades Green's been out. Kyle Parker's got 5 catches in 4 games. Chris Hilton's been a complete non-factor. He's got 3 catches in 4 games. You're not throwing the ball with the production that you would imagine comes from the names like that on that list. And Garrett Nussmeier's completing like 69% of his throws. He's got 6 touchdowns in 4 games. He's averaging 240 yards a game throwing the ball. And as I mentioned, 2 of those games are Southeastern and Louisiana Tech. And he did throw the ball productively against Southeastern. It's not the production we thought we were going to see. And so the question is, how much of that is the oblique? How much of that is kind of deciding, hey, this Clemson offense isn't doing squat. We're not going to put the ball in harm's way. Hey, this Florida offense is turning the ball over like crazy. They're not going to score. We're not putting the ball in harm's way. Hey, Nussmeier's not feeling great. We're playing Louisiana Tech here. Let's take it easy. Keep the ball in front of him. Like, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But I can't, in good faith, just sit here and go, hey, nice numbers, Ole Miss, but you lost all your good players from last year. Kentucky sucks throwing the ball. Arkansas is not any good. All your numbers are fraudulent. Wait till you see big, bad LSU show up. Look at the dudes we got. You sure? Like, do we know that? Man, I'm hopeful. I thought we would learn a ton about LSU at Clemson, and I feel like we learned a lot about LSU's defense against Clemson. I feel like we learned a lot about LSU's defense against Florida, but I cannot sit here. It would be disingenuous of me to sit here and say, yeah, I mean, Clemson's awesome, and LSU put him in a body bag. Yeah, Florida's stud. Look at DJ Lagway, 5-star. Couldn't do anything. Lagway can't do anything against anybody. And so you look at the schedule and you look at things we thought we knew. I don't know what I know about this LSU passing game. I feel like Saturday we learned it. It needs to be better. And if Garrett Nussmeier goes out there, hits 2 deep shots, throws for 315 and 3 scores, and you get Baryon Brown involved in the deep ball, Chris Hilton hits a deep ball, Aaron Anderson goes for 95 yards, you hit Trey'Dez Green for a red zone touchdown, and it looks the way we thought it was going to look in August, then I'll go, okay, there was a month there where they had to get acclimated to these things. But I have a little bit of a hard time just leaping to that. And that's why I believe it's going to be a fairly close game. I don't think, and if you were listening in the first hour, I'll revisit this. I don't know who I'm picking to win the game yet. I'm going to do that tomorrow morning. The reason I feel that way is because I don't trust LSU's offense yet. I do trust the defense, but I don't feel like that trust means you're going to Oxford and holding Ole Miss to 10 like you did against Florida. It may mean 20. It may mean 23. Do I know for sure that an offense that didn't do squat against Florida is going to go on the road to Ole Miss and go up and down the field because they've got a lot of names I've heard in the passing game? I certainly don't know about the running game, especially if Durham doesn't play. The passing game is what you got to lean on. This is my reservation. I didn't say I was picking Ole Miss. I didn't say that LSU is a bad offense. I said I don't know if I can put my entire faith, my entire trust in it yet. And it does feel like after this game against Ole Miss, I will either get on the postgame show and then come here on Monday and go, okay, the offense has kind of clicked. They don't have to be awesome, but they got to be good enough to complement the defense. They did it at Clemson. They did it against Florida. They did it against Ole Miss. I'm in. Here we go. Bye week. Let's rock. This is a playoff team. Or if the offense looks bad and they can't run the ball again and the offense doesn't click through the air, and I'll go, well, your defense can smother bad offenses and that'll be enough to win. But what about when you play the good teams? What about when you play the teams that can move the ball? Oklahoma can move the ball. Alabama can move the ball. Vanderbilt can move the ball. Lenora Sellers has the ability to move the ball. If you can't do something on offense to help your defense out, then you're not going to get to the playoff. Like, it feels like this is a turning point. And I don't know how I feel about it yet, candidly. Not a radio tease, not something that I'm trying to drum up listenership. I just am being honest. I don't know yet. But I've asked our station for their picks. You'll get a lot of those on tomorrow's show. They're looking pretty purple and gold to this point. That's a lot of producers, a lot of on air. Like, it's not all the hosts. But I feel like there's a lot of purple and gold coming off this station in the next 27 hours until AFR is done. I'm not sure where I sit yet. We'll get to that point tomorrow. Chris Blair's next, and then we'll have Luke Johnson talking Saints in 15 minutes. You're listening to a Thursday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club, swingeasygcbr.com. Awesome place to drop in after work. That applies to July when it's 102. That applies to January when it's 22 because it's indoors. They got simulators, comfortable, spacious bays where you can either work on your game or hang out and socialize. And that's the beauty of it. It doesn't matter how good you are at golf, whether you're there to work on your game or have some fun. Swing Easy Golf Club is there for you. So if you got some clubs and you want to stop on by and you want to work on hitting that tight draw off the tee and looking at your ball speed and seeing what your carry distance is and all that, you can do it at Swing Easy GCBR. Or you want to go turn on Pebble Beach or Bethpage Black or that course they play the Masters tournament on. You can do that at Swing Easy Golf Club as well and have some fun. They got beer. They got wine. You can bring your own. They got couches. Go hang out. Swing Easy Golf Club. They're on Segan, near Perkins. Go see for yourself. It's a cool new spot in Baton Rouge. You can check them out online at swingeasygcbr.com. Swingeasygcbr.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR from Don Juan Cigar Bar, presented by Got Lit Light Installers, because everything looks better when it's lit. We'll see you Friday, 3 to 6 from Don Juan Cigar Bar, presented by Got Lit Light Installers.
Businesses like yours are the soul of our community. You deserve someone who'll deliver the internet services you deserve. That's why local businesses rely on Rev Business, 90 years of building connections. Visit us at letsrev.biz.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
In South Louisiana, you can always count on good people coming together to help our children.
At Dreams Come True, we grant wishes for Louisiana children with life-threatening illnesses. But to do this, we need funds.
That's why we're trying to raise $100,000 for Dreams Come True by giving away the Blessed Children's School.
Make your backyard's dream come true while helping our kids.
Just go to dreampoolla.com and you can find out how your $25 donation might help win you a Duplessis pool.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
Gulf Coast Banking.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Chugging along here on a Thursday. Working towards the weekend. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Chris Blair coming up here shortly. We'll also have Luke Johnson talking Saints here in 15 minutes. Our Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms. Premium Angus beef. Told you in the first hour. Sean Sagrera was texting me. They have got 12%, 14%, 15.9%, 18.1% on the IMF scale at the farm right now. If you're going, what the heck does that mean? Well, 9 is the cutoff for prime. You've heard of choice, select, prime. Prime is the best. That's 9% or more. You're talking about 18.1 they are cutting today, and he sent me some pictures of it. The marbling on this beef is truly unbelievable. If you are looking to fill your freezer with some of the most tender, delicious, flavorful beef in a country that's right outside Baton Rouge, at Segura Farms. Give Sean Segura a call today. His number is 225-719-1723. Again, 225-719-1723. Segura Farms Premium Angus Beef is just a different way to handle your beef purchasing here in Baton Rouge. If you're not happy with what you're buying weekly, want ground beef that's a little bit better, well, you can make that happen at Segura Farms. Having a tough time getting in touch with Chris Blair. He says it's not ringing, by the way. So if we don't have phone lines, it appears. So no, I'm saying it's not ringing when he calls us. So it's we got some phone line issues currently at the moment. So we'll try to get that patched up if we can. But I can continue to talk about this LSU and Ole Miss game because it's just such a monster game. I wrote a column at LouisianaSports.net today that kind of outlines the weird similarities between last year's game and this year's game with Ole Miss, with the exact opposite shoe on each foot. Right? I think y'all are pretty familiar with this, but like last year, Ole Miss was coming off an 11-win season. They had Jackson Dart coming back. He was a fifth-year senior quarterback who had 34 starts, and they were like, okay, let's go. We've got money in the Grove Collective. We can get aggressive. And they go get Walter Nolan, former five-star. They go get Princely Umamielen, who was the sack leader at Florida. They go get Trey Amos from Alabama. They go get Pooh Paul from Arkansas. Like, they loaded up on transfers from power schools. And they put together probably the most talented Ole Miss team since 1971. They ended up having 8 guys drafted off that team, and 5 of them were in the first 77 picks. They have not had 8 guys taken in one draft since Archie Manning went first to the Saints. They knew that was what was coming. And so they had a lot of pressure on them, and they tried to get out there and get the best product they could. And they did. That team was awesome. The proof of concept was that they crushed Georgia 28-10. And now you got LSU in the same boat. They went out and loaded this team up with NFL draft picks to go with their fifth-year senior quarterback, and there's pressure on them to perform this year. And now Ole Miss is kind of a team that maybe doesn't have all those expectations on them, but they're at home, going to be a raucous environment, and they're right in the playoff picture with a win if they can win. And Ole Miss and LSU was in that position last year. If they beat Ole Miss, they were in the playoff picture. So going to be there's a lot of similarities between LSU and Ole Miss last year's game, just on the other foot. Let's talk about a guy who will be inside Vaught-Hemingway Stadium on Saturday. That's Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers. He'll also be at TJ Ribs tonight for the Brian Kelly Show. Join us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Chris, how are you?
I'm good, huh? Yeah, I just caught the tail end. Yeah, there's a lot of storylines and a pretty important game for Week 5, I would argue, for both teams.
The LSU defense has gotten a lot of flowers, and deservedly so, because they have been awesome. And Blake Baker's done a phenomenal job of assembling talent and coaching it. But Clemson and Florida have not played well outside of the LSU games now. So what do we make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the first thing you look at is, okay, how much has this team been tested based on what we've seen so far from arguably the 2 best teams on the early schedule? I just liken it to like coaches say all the time, and the fundamentals. I mean, you can put on the tape, any tape of all 4 games that LSU's defense has played, and there's a couple of things that are pretty consistent, Hunt. And one is the football team, the defense is where they need to be. They're in position. They chase the football. They swarm the football. Okay, that's pretty good. And that'll play against pretty much any team. The second part is tackling. How many missed tackles are we seeing, and how many have we blatantly seen over the first 4 weeks? Not a ton. Pretty good team tackling. Again, that also will play against any opponent in any game. So I'm not leaning too heavy on, well, we just haven't seen them face a really good team. Now, the truth is, each week that goes by for the next month and a half, 2 months, you're going to have a challenging offense to contend with pretty much every single week. I just think it plays. I think the fundamentals and what we've seen with the way they're aggressive, the way they really haven't been out of position, you can look to a handful of coverages, and I mean one handful, where they've been beaten or completely lost. That's a different animal from 2 years ago and certainly a year ago. And for that reason, I'm not at least yet buying stock into whether they haven't been challenged yet.
As far as the offense goes, what did you see from Nussmeier in the game on Saturday night, albeit against subpar competition?
Well, I think he looked like the Nussmeier we were accustomed to. And again, having the information on the back end, towards the end of the week that he was feeling better and had been bothered by the torso injury, or at least discomfort at the best. I think he looked like it. You saw him be very mobile. I don't mean to make a joke of his career-long 26-yard run, but that was I think that was important for him. I think it was important for this offense. And to me, he just looked like the guy that we were accustomed to. And I mentioned to you last week on the show, it was a get-right game from a standpoint of, I don't know how many points it's going to take to beat Ole Miss or Alabama or Texas A&M. What I do know is that 20 is it puts yourself in a tough position, just based on what we've seen so far this season from these offenses. So you got to score points, and it looked like some of the throws he made were. I mean, there was one that I remember where he, designed sprint out to the right. He moves the pocket, throws across his body, literally hits the guy going the opposite side in between the numbers. That's a throw that will play. And so I just think I think we're getting back to a team that put up 5,600 yards of offense and 47 touchdowns. And at least going into this game, I will say that, it looked pretty obvious to me that Garrett didn't quite look like himself through the first 3 weeks of the year. And if that was because he wasn't feeling 100%, then at this point, that makes sense to me.
How big a deal is getting Trey'Dez Green back?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big one. And, credit Bauer Sharp. I mean, I think, we kind of were excited coming into the year that you got a guy like Trey'Dez that's such a mismatch for defenses to try to take away in the passing game. And yet you got a guy like Bauer Sharp that's kind of the old school, get in there and get some action to block downfield or just be a physical style tight end. And suddenly, he shows what he can do when the ball is thrown his way. So, I like the fact that Trey'Dez is coming back because of what he can do. Certainly when you're in short yardage situation and your running game hasn't quite gotten it clicked together just yet.
As far as the running game goes, we don't know about Caden Durham. We'll see what Brian Kelly has to say at his press conference and then maybe on the coach's show a little bit later. But Juwan Johnson feels like he might be next up. He was last week. What kind of story is that? I don't recall one similar to that in my time watching LSU.
Yeah, I remember, last year when we saw him kind of move into that role, and I know everybody knows the story about how he was recruited and then he was going to play defense and all of that. But I don't know that last year we got enough of a sample size to say, hey, is he the type of guy who can take an every down back or virtually every down back, in an SEC game? And, that's still, the jury's still out on that. What I will say is that when they have utilized both he and Xavion Thomas as kind of a switch gears mode to try to get the run game going, I've been impressed with his physicality. I mean, I knew he knew how to avoid tackles. I knew he knew how to jump cut. I knew he had plenty of speed and a good head on his shoulders. But I like some of the physical stuff that he has presented. So, if that's the case, and Caden, hopefully he's back and good to go. But if they have to go to Juwan a little bit more until Caden's back to 100%, I kind of been impressed with what number 8's been able to do running the football. So, it's kind of like what I planned to talk with Coach Kelly tonight about. You look at all the guys who had a chance to play, and when I look at a game like LSU and Southeastern Louisiana, a 56-10 score sounds about right. I think everybody feels that way. What I was looking more of, both in the booth as well as going back and watching the film, was when you get to that second, third, and even some fourth-string guys, how big a drop-off? And how big a drop-off is there from the number 1 guy to the number 2 guy, from the number 2 guy to the number 3 guy? Again, just in the fundamentals of being where you're supposed to be and making the plays when they present themselves. And I think overall LSU has to feel pretty good about the depth that they have seen when you have to go and use a backup. To me, that was the biggest takeaway from last week's game, not the final score, not the 81% completion by the quarterbacks. It was when you had to call on somebody, were they able to go in there and hold their own? And I think there's a lot of teams across the country that probably envy the depth that LSU has shown so far.
12:30 showtime for me, Brandon, and Marlon on the pregame show on the LSU Sports Radio Network. We'll go for 90 minutes and toss things up to Oxford, Mississippi, where you'll find Gordy Rush, Jacob Hester, and the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair. If you can't wait that long, tonight, 7 o'clock, Brian Kelly Show from TJ Ribs here in Baton Rouge. You can catch that on the LSU Sports Radio Network affiliate in your area. Thanks, Chris.
You got it. Talk to you Saturday.
He's the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair. You can catch him tonight, as I said, 7 o'clock on the Brian Kelly Show. That'll be after Brian Kelly's press conference, where we think he'll probably address Caden Durham is really the only injury that is in question for this week. West Weeks is going to play. Trades Green is going to play. Gabriel Relaford is not going to play. And so now that just leaves Caden Durham in question. I'm sure Brian Kelly will address that in some way tonight in his press conference, and then certainly on the injury report tonight that comes out around 7 o'clock. So get that information to you over on LouisianaSports.net. Come back, talk some Saints with Luke Johnson next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. They're airline at PQ. See Big Women's Hospital there. Across Airline Highway from there, you cannot miss it. Gorgeous showroom, amazing facility, first-class staff. You'll notice these things when you go check out the folks at Genesis of Baton Rouge. It's a luxury brand at a reasonable price. That is the motto of Genesis. It's fairly new to the game when you think about the luxury car brand, so there's a real opportunity that you've never gotten behind the wheel of a Genesis. I'm not telling you have to do that today, although that'd be great. But when comes your time to get into the market for a new vehicle, whether that's next month or next year, just put Genesis on your list. Think about it. Say, I heard Hunt talking about all the great people there and the phenomenal line, and they're all IHA top safety picks, some of the safest cars on the road, and it's a luxury brand. I should go try that. You're going to be on Airline Highway anyway, because most of the dealerships are on Airline Highway. Just make the one stop at PQ and see my friends at Genesis of Baton Rouge. You will not regret it. And when you make that purchase, you will leave the dealership with America's best warranty. 100,000 miles for 10 years on their powertrain warranty, 60,000 miles for 5 years on their bumper-to-bumper warranty, 5 years of enhanced 24/7 roadside assistance, unlimited miles, and then, of course, that complimentary scheduled valet maintenance that I tell you about. 3 years, 36,000 miles from Genesis of Baton Rouge. Go by and see them. Check them out online, GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR from Don Juan Cigar Bar, presented by Got Lit Light Installers, because everything looks better when it's lit. We'll see you Friday, 3 to 6 from Don Juan Cigar Bar, presented by Got Lit Light Installers.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. And when you're cooking with clean, affordable propane, you're cooking with gas. In the wintertime, nothing heats a home like Louisiana propane. And when you need hot water, propane's got you covered. Oh, and you won't regret that propane generator when the power goes out. I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and to find more information and to find a propane dealer near you, visit louisianapropane.com.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system. from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
It was the Pacific Northwest last week, Northeast this week, upstate New York to be exact. Buffalo is where the Saints will head to take on the Bills. Luke Johnson covers the Saints for theadvocate.nola.com. He'll be there. He's with us on Thursdays. Joins us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Luke, how are you?
Doing great, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
How surprising was last week, if at all?
Well, I mean, it was surprising, right? I don't think anybody was anticipating they'd just go up there and get completely rocked. I think I picked them before the game to lose by 10. I think they probably would have preferred that. Just kind of a complete systems meltdown in that first quarter, and like once that happened, they just had like no chance to make a game out of it. Like I started writing my story for that game with like 5 minutes left in the first quarter. Like I can't remember the last time that happened, if ever, covering like a pro football game. But I saw like a lot of stuff after the game, it's like putting that on Kellen Moore and saying it's like a sign that he's not ready to be a coach or whatever. Which obviously like he does deserve a huge share of the blame for the team coming out flat and unprepared in that game. But it was funny. I was like looking back. I was like, I wonder like if some of these other like what we consider now to be really good NFL head coaches, they had games like this in their first season. You taking over a team means they were probably bad the year before. Like let's just take a look. Like Dan Campbell lost the game 44-6 in his first year. Kyle Shanahan lost one 40-6. Kevin O'Connell lost one 40-10 or 40-3. The Saints absolutely waxed the Bills in Sean McDermott's first year, like 47-10. So I'm not ready to see that one game and be like, they hired the wrong guy. Which I don't know. I don't know if that was something people were doing, but this sort of stuff happens in the first year of new regimes, I think.
I would agree with that. I also didn't like not using the timeouts in week 1 against the Cardinals, and I hated both field goals, the miss and the one before the half. Sure. And what do you make of those?
Yeah, let's be clear. He is not above criticism.
Yeah.
I didn't even after hearing his explanations for those two things. I didn't agree with him in either case. Which, I'm not the one making the calls here, but, if you got 3 timeouts and it's a close game, and, you're going to get a chance at a 2-for-1, go for it. If you've got a huge deficit, where 3 points is not really going to do anything for you, go for the touchdown. It's not going to hurt you if you don't get it. But if you do get it, maybe you can jumpstart something. Maybe you can make it at least watchable. It's been kind of a weird start to the season for him, just in terms of the consistency of his aggressiveness, because it's up and down. He's been really aggressive on 4th down a couple times. I mean, he went for 4th and 2 on the opening drive, dialed up a nice play. Yeah, and Alvin Kamara, he had him run like a little fake choice route, which we've seen Alvin run those a billion times in his career, where he goes out and he either breaks in or he breaks out or he sits down in the zone. And this time, he faked like he was going to sit down, and then he kept running for what was essentially a wheel route. And he was wide open. They just didn't connect on the play. So you're like, okay, that was good. But after you get down by a bunch, you just kind of go into a shell. I don't get that. So I think this is going to be a lot of these early season things are going to be stuff that he has to learn on and really critique himself, because I still don't see the value in doing either of those two things that he did.
And look, if he needs to learn for the first 3 months of this thing, that's fine, because they're not going anywhere anyway. So as long as he's taking those opportunities and getting better from them, then I guess you'll take it. I guess we'll move forward to Buffalo now. What do they do defensively against Josh Allen?
I think they gotta have some rosary beads around there up in Gil Benson's offices. I don't know, man. I just hope that he has the worst day of his professional career. I don't know. He's really, really good, and they've got a bunch of really good players around him on that offense. I mean, their starting right tackle is actually one of Trevor Penning's teammates. Really good player, Spencer Brown. He's on the injury report this week. He might not play. I don't think that matters. James Cook is awesome. He's one of the better running backs in the NFL. They do a really good job using him in the pass game. Josh Allen is just beyond just being a great passer of the football. He's one of the NFL's best two-way weapons as a player. I'm having a hard time seeing a path. This is like that scene in the Avengers movie where Doctor Strange is holding up one finger. I'm I don't even see the one. You just might as well hold up a zero there. There's no way. I can't see a path where this is a good defensive game for them.
Are you concerned about the play of the young DBs through 3 games?
Yeah, I am. And honestly, it's a combination of the DBs and the scheme. They're running so much of this zone defense, and it's just not working. It's I don't know how much of that to place on Staley and how much to place on the DBs. Whether guys are just not in the right spots in those zones, but it just seems like every team has answers for it. They know where to attack it, and that's concerning because you think that when you start playing a lot more zone versus the man coverage stuff that it seems we're doing in the past, it lessens the need to have true lockdown, like Marshawn Lattimore on one side, Paulson Adebo on the other. You don't need the studs; they just need to be in the right spots. And it seems like they don't have the studs, and they're also not in the right spots. So I'm concerned. It's been pretty rough going for that secondary for the first 3 weeks. I think maybe if we ever see Chase Young play another football game, feels like we got to say that. Maybe if they get their pass rush going, it looks a little bit better. The pass rush has been pretty non-existent since week 1, but I don't know. It has not materialized the way I thought it would.
You don't really have any chance offensively when your special teams gives up what they gave up last week and you get behind that quickly. But offensively, is there something you'd like to see on Sunday that would push things in the right direction?
Yeah, I think I just filed a story about their lack of explosive passes. And after kind of diving into the numbers, it wasn't as it just felt like watching this offense and looking at the numbers, Chris Olave is averaging 7 yards a catch. Rashid Shaheed's averaging 9 yards a catch. They're the only NFL team that does not have a wide receiver averaging more than 10 yards per catch. So it just feels like it's been a lot of dink and dunk, but they have taken shots downfield. It's just it hasn't materialized in big plays. And a lot of it has been Spencer missing the target. So I think I want to see their run game get going so they can open up some more opportunities for the vertical passing game because they've got the guys to do it. But I don't think they're going to be able to do that unless they're getting something going with the ground game to make teams not play this shell coverage on the back end. And there's just so much that is just working against them right now. And it's not, none of that is ever going to matter Buffalo scores 21 on them in the first quarter like Seattle did, so they got to be in like a neutral or close to neutral game script to where they can actually take advantage of some of these plays. But I need to see some explosive plays out of this offense. It's been really, really boring through a couple of weeks.
Well, fly safe, get some wings, don't fall through a table, and get home safe.
I will probably do at least most of those things.
Okay. He's Luke Johnson, covers the Saints for The Advocate and NOLA.com. Good enough to give us some time on Thursdays. So always look forward to that. I'm going to have a lot to say about the Saints next week because I feel like you've got a competitive game. You got a chance to win. I don't have a lot to say about the Saints and Bills. The Bills are one of the best teams in the NFL. They might have the best player in the NFL, and the Saints are coming off an embarrassment. So, what are we doing here? There's not going to be a lot of breaking down Saints and Bills for us. We'll talk a little bit about it, and I'll give you my final score prediction coming up on tomorrow's show. But that'll leave the Saints right where it lay for the rest of today. We'll come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Just some of the best beef in the country. And it's right here just outside of Baton Rouge. If you are not happy with the product that you're consistently purchasing to bring home to cook with, you have questions, I don't know how many DNA are in this 1 pound pack of ground beef. I don't know if there were any steroids used. I don't know if improper antibiotics were administered. I have so many questions about what I'm preparing and eating at home. You have none of those questions at Sagrera Farms. None. And you're getting prime Angus beef that, as I told you earlier today, Sean was cutting some steaks that were 14, 15% on the IMS score. 9 is prime. 18%, doubling it. No questions. Prime Angus beef right here outside of Baton Rouge. Give Sean a call. His cell phone is 719-1723 in the 225 area code. If you want to change the way you're purchasing beef and you want some of the finest Angus beef in your freezer when it's time to cook burgers, it's time to make steaks, time to do tacos, fajitas, make sure that you got the best. And you can get that at Sagrera Farms. Right here, just outside of Baton Rouge. Sean's cell is 719-1723. Again, 719-1723. It's Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com by the 21st. We'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award, and the spotlight they've earned. Presented by First American Bank and Trust, a banking tradition since 1910.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
.045 ESPN Baton Rouge, along with First American Bank and Trust, are teaming up to honor our military and raise funds for Folds of Honor. This nonprofit organization provides scholarships to the spouses and children of soldiers who were killed or disabled in service. To donate to this important cause, visit our website at 1045ESPN.com. Folds of Honor, to honor their sacrifice and educate their legacy.
All right. Wrapping things up on this Thursday. Got a busy Friday for you. Starts up at 7 a.m. with Off the Bench, 10 o'clock live at lunch to 1, where I take over 1 to 3. Matt's with you 3 to 6. Cade Wasson, 6 o'clock, 6:45 Louisiana Prep preview, as well as the Catholic High broadcast starting 6:45 pregame, 7 o'clock kick. So 7 o'clock a.m., 9 o'clock p.m. We're live and local for football Fridays, and that'll crank up tomorrow here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Should also mention that 5 to 9, you got over on Talk 107.3, incredible high school football content from Ken Trahan down in New Orleans. 5 hours of high school info. So if you've got a youngster in the high school ranks or you're interested in checking out scores and updates from around the state, we got you covered there on multiple channels tomorrow after 6 o'clock. Let's finish things up here on this Thursday. We'll take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Flight by Yingling, next generation of light beer. Yingling, oldest brewery in America, 1. 2, still family owned and operated. Yingling family still running it. There's like 8 of them that are in the office every single day up there in Pennsylvania making things happen. And this is one of their newest ventures, Flight by Yingling. It's a couple years old, but you may not have had a Flight by Yingling. Still hot out there. Still time to grab a refreshing, cold, crisp, and delicious light beer. Flight by Yingling, 95 calories, 2.6 carbs, the next generation of light beer.
All right, first one here. A little bit of auction news with some sports memorabilia. We like to throw these every now and then when they come out. This was pretty funny, not funny, but interesting. Tony Hawk's skateboard that he used to...
Wouldn't pay $4.
Okay. Well, anyway, somebody paid $1.15 million for it because it was...
1.15?
$1.15 million for it because it's the skateboard he used to land the first ever 900 in skateboarding history. He also sold his helmet, went for $115K. His sneakers went for $64K, and his knee pads went for $57,000. Those are all what he wore and used.
$57,000 for some knee pads.
When he landed the 900 the first time ever in competition. $1.15 million for a skateboard. Take it or leave it.
Gonna pass it. Wouldn't pay $1.15 for a skateboard.
Okay. Not even if it was Tony Hawk's.
No. Not if it was Tony Hawk's. Not if it was... I can't even come on. I don't know another skateboarder. The Jackass guys did skateboards.
They did?
Travis Pastrana. He did bikes.
Yeah, no skateboards.
But he did bikes, so
he
it's
did.
the same thing.
Would you pay $1 million for the dirt bike that he used to land the double backflip?
No.
No?
I would not.
All right.
Wouldn't pay anything for those things. But the beauty of the world is...
Somebody
if you have
will.
some disposable income and you would like to purchase some things, you can do that.
All right, last one here. Just came out the news a couple of hours ago. Former Seahawks running back Shaun Alexander.
I saw this.
Yeah, he's got 13 kids right now. Number 14 is on the way, hon. He said number 14 is in the belly, as he said. Sean Alexander, 14 kids. Hester, eat your heart out. Take it or leave it.
I mean, Hester's got a lot of catching up to do. We'll take that.
I'll take it.
Look, Sean Alexander, eventually at this pace, we'll have one kid for every yard he gained against LSU.
Wow.
There were a
Nice
lot
one.
of yards. That's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Sean Alexander, I'm sure, made a very good living in the NFL. So I don't know if that's a huge consideration. But beyond that, it's just a lot of humans.
It's a lot of humans.
How do you keep up with 14
I
humans?
don't know how you do it. You got to have help, obviously.
I got a pretty good handle on 2. One of them's immobile.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm doing pretty well there.
Well,
14, no.
I think the way you do it is once you get to like 5 or 6, at that point the first one is already like a teenager probably or close to it. So then you just have the first few kids are just pretty much helping you raise the last like 6 or 7 at that point.
Yeah, it's one way to do it. the Palmers are not gonna
get to 14.
Not gonna plan to operate that way.
Okay,
that's plans sometimes aren't exactly.
That's true. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't. Things don't go to plan, as you would say.
The plan for the Palmers, not 14. I think we'll come up short on that number. We'll see. That's it for us here on this Thursday. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. A lot of LSU Ole Miss discussion. You can find that at Hunt on LSU. A little bit of Saints discussion. Find that at Hunt on Saints. And Paul Skenes discussion, too. That's it for us. Matt's going to join you and drive you home on AFR next. We're back tomorrow for Football Friday.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. Propane water heaters are very cost efficient. And the savings are even greater with a tankless propane water heater. We all know that Louisiana propane is a safe and environmentally friendly fuel.